But these type of movements, without understanding the implications on the body, is irresponsible. Hey guys, and welcome back to Karate Over Coffee. I'm your host, Cheyne McMahon. Today we're going to be discussing tradition versus evolution, when to move on. It's been a bit of a hot topic lately. How much should your own experience dictate your syllabus or your curriculum? I'm fortunate that the association that we belong to in Japan doesn't really interfere with what we teach or how we teach. We certainly teach based on their principles and ideas and movements and kata and their experience. However, they don't really control, what drills I teach or even what kata I teach. So we're in that sort of position, which is fantastic. I can sort of dictate what we do and what we teach and those sorts of things. But I realise that not everybody is in that position. So I know there are associations out there that are very strict on what you teach and how you teach, and especially the grading syllabus. It's got to be adhered to with no allowances for different body shapes or ages or previous experience or even injuries. So I had a Shotokan Shodan train with me a few months ago from a different club. He was up here for a week or so, and he told me that he'll never be able to grade to Nidan because he can't do, maybe it was a side snap kick to the head or roundhouse kick to his head height. He's in his 50s. So maybe the Japanese sensei who created that syllabus or created that curriculum or that grading syllabus, maybe he could kick head height, but you've got to think that he probably started when he was a kid and his muscle memory is there for him to be able to do that kick to the head. And it's a different body type too. You've got different environment on how we sit compared to maybe the Japanese who are in their 50s, 60s, 70s. So it's a little bit different. So especially when you look at this guy starting in his 50s, and to take that away from him, it doesn't make any sense. So I've got two dojo, one in Brisbane where I teach and run, and I have a dojo in Sydney where my friend Ben Perkin runs it. Ben and I, we talk a couple of times a week, and we have a weekly Zoom meeting where we catch up we talk about the syllabus, class structure, student progression, those sorts of things. And during these meetings, I often tell Ben about a drill that I've created or a different way I've been teaching a particular part of a kata or something like this, something that's a little bit different. So I'm often taping and videoing, uploading these techniques and drills so Ben can also teach it. It's more so I'm continually working on the syllabus or curriculum, adding or deleting, modifying, trying to evolve what we're currently teaching. I don't want to be stagnant. I want to be continually evolving what we are learning. Karate itself has evolved many times. Even the word karate, karate, tote, whatever you want to call it. China hand, empty hand, Freddie's hand, Johnny's hand. Even that's evolved. Even te or ti, the fist. It can mean more than just a hand or a fist. In an interview I did with Joe Swift, he discussed the evolution of the word karate or karate and how it could be considered and can be read as Chinese martial arts rather than empty hand or China hand or empty fist. Actually, that depending on when you're listening to this, you may have already listened to that podcast or it's coming up. So it's part 3 of the discussion with Joe Swift. Make sure you check it out if you haven't. But back to the evolution of karate. It itself has changed and been modified many times over the years for different purposes. And it will continue to change. Even if you look at modern Kumite or modern WKF type Kumite, the earliest idea of Kumite and how it was created was a dueling contest, very similar to or based on kendo. You know, the one strike, one kill, the clean strike finishes the match. So that's sort of been changed now to more points. So still has that contest where it's an exchange, and whoever gets the cleanest technique, the cleanest hit, or the one that would knock the person down or knock the person out or finish the fight, that has stopped. You know, they stop and they come back and they restart, much like kendo. However, now it is not just 1 point; it's more points. You know, as it evolves. So I think at the moment in WKF type Kumite, you need 8 points more than the other person to stop the contest. But yeah, when I first started, it was maybe 3 points or 6 points. Now it's unlimited almost. Different to boxing or Muay Thai, where it's a continual bang, 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 bang action. You know, the evolution of Kumite itself has evolved. Even from when I was competing to now, the techniques are delivered differently. They're faster. The athletes are faster. They're fitter. Totally different to when I was competing as a kid, even as an adult. So where do we keep tradition and when do we embrace evolution? Well, let's take a quick look at a typical Shotokan Mawashigeri or a side snap kick, the Yokogeri. When I was a kid, we started in a Shoto-based karate system, and I remember having to contort my body, had to change how I moved, had to lock that hip in to get to do a round kick, even in a side snap kick. You know that now we know more about how the body moves and the body mechanics, the body or the biomechanics. So we changed a long time ago, 30 years ago, on how we deliver, especially in Mawashigeri. We don't do side snap kick anymore, so we don't have to worry about that one. But we've made our round kicks a little more user-friendly, hip-friendly, hip flexor-friendly, making it a lot easier on the body. There are so many there are many guys who've done Shotokan for a long time who are hobbling around with bad hips and bad knees. I'm 100% positive that one of the contributing factors is the kick, is how the kick is delivered. And so my father is the same. He had his hip replaced a long time after being in that Shoto sort of base style for many years. He had his hip replaced a few years ago, and he's much better for it. But keeping that sort of kick, I'm all in favor of tradition, but to keep practicing these types of kicks or these types of movements, I'm not singling out Shotokan, but these type of movements without understanding the implications on the body is irresponsible to your body and also the welfare of your student's body as well. So, the same can be said about the self-defense and what can be classified as self-defense. I know there are dojo out there who advertise as teaching self-defense, but what they're teaching is really unrealistic self-defense. It's karate versus karate attacks. So, like a big example of this, and I'm sure you've seen these videos and maybe you are practicing this in your dojo too, but the attacker steps back into like a kamae position, like a ready position, and then the defender steps back into their kumite, their kamae position, their ready fighting position. And when the defender is ready, the attacker steps forward and does a long lunging punch, huge punch, so the defender can see. And normally the defender then steps back or steps off to the side in a long front stance and delivers a punch, a typical karate block with a typical karate punch, a long block. And that's the end of the self-defense scenario game. game over. But seriously, you can look up thousands of videos on self-defense on YouTube that are better than this type of garbage. But I can almost guarantee you the instructor that is teaching this type of self-defense is because his instructor taught it and his instructor taught it. So it goes back like this. So here's just a quick time frame, and I'm no expert in karate history, but I'll tell you, this is the way that I look at it. So Itosu's karate program came to the mainland of Japan and took off like wildfire. More instructors were required to teach, and without really understanding karate and really understanding what they were teaching and how to connect the dots back to original karate or back to shurite, mainly these Japanese sensei were creating defenses against being attacked using the kion or the fundamentals or the basic techniques out of kata that has been altered and changed to fit into Itosu's children's karate program. And then from there it spread to the west. So, and then in the 50s, 60s, 70s, it was only when the Westerners started questioning the legitimacy of the type of attacks and the responses did karate begin to change, or change again, or revert back to a more practical attacks and practical responses. So the more and more we learn from discussion groups, Facebook discussion groups, seminars that we attend, like the Zoom seminars even now, interviews, YouTube, brilliant podcasts, the more we owe it to the next generation of students to question what we are learning and deliver the very best product we can. If you're affiliated with an association that hasn't evolved with the times, and if you're still teaching these types of self-defense or these types of movements that hurt the body, that create a false sense of security for self-defense, then maybe it is time to move on. Anyway, guys, thanks. A bit of another controversial topic for some, not for others, but especially those who've been evolving their karate for a long time. So it shouldn't be a big surprise for you that there are still others who are still teaching this. Now, if you haven't already jumped onto our Karate Over Coffee community Facebook group, make sure you jump on. You can subscribe. We talk about, well, we haven't really started talking too much, but it's only a new one. But we can discuss everything about the podcast, like this podcast or other podcasts that I've done. You can also catch us on iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your podcasts. And of course, we have a YouTube channel. We're actually getting more views on YouTube than we are doing on the podcast. But anyway, that's cool. Whatever the easiest place for you to listen to it. Actually, I'm also thinking about opening a shop where you can support us by purchasing shirts and coffee mugs, because obviously this is still Karate Over Coffee. Hang on, let me just have a quick sip of my coffee here. So what I'm drinking at the moment is a long black. I'm kind of boring like that, but sometimes I'll drink a soy latte, bit of soy, but normally I'm a long black. This one is a hot one because in Brisbane at the moment it's verging into winter, so it's probably about 22 degrees outside, so it's a bit chilly. Yeah, so let me know if you're keen on the shirts and the mugs, and check us out on the Karate Over Coffee community group. Speak to you soon.